Hello everyone, this is icyabyss here and today we are talking about finally Ironheart. It's out, it was sitting in Marvel's vault for a couple of years but now it's finally out. And we are going to talk about it. But first I do want to explain the plot of this show very quickly. I don't want to waste your time. I just want to give you bullet points of what happens in these 3 episodes so you know what we're talking about. So without saying too much, let's talk about what happens in the first 3 episodes of Ironheart. Riri wants to make something iconic, but she doesn't have the money, so she starts selling some illegal projects to other students for money, which is, well, illegal, so she gets expelled. She goes home and we found out that she has a dead stepfather and a friend who died in a drive-by. She has an obsession with making something iconic to get the world's attention. She says that she's making armor only because they are popular and that she could be making something else entirely. While at home, she gets the attention of a small-time gang, gets recruited by them. She also makes an AI by scanning her brain. The AI turns to be her dead friend Natalie, which is very annoying, I'll just say that. She does a stupid job for the gang, she gets paid, she also finds a guy to buy some black market tech. It will be revealed later that he is Obadiah Stane's son, Ezekiel. Riri, after a while, realizes that joining this gang was a really bad idea because they just expired their ex-team member. So yeah, Riri decides to leave this gang, but she needs a small sample of the cape that this hood guy is wearing. To do that, she needs a biomesh to hide her laser. Ezekiel Stane gives her the biomesh on one condition, that this tech could not be tracked back to him. She tries to cut the part of the hood while being actively on the job, and stuff goes wildly wrong because of her. One of the team members find out that Riri had betrayed them, and then he is retired from the show shortly afterwards. She also ends up leaving the biomesh behind, which can now be tracked back to Ezekiel Stane. The last episode ends with Riri having a panic attack and the hood finding out that Riri got his best friend expired. Now that is the gist of what happens in the first 3 episodes. What do I think about this show so far? I do think that there are some issues, but this is better than I expected, at least so far. I do believe that Marvel has a habit of starting off really strong and then dropping the ball off really hard afterwards. So right now with most Marvel shows, I do like it just because it's the middle. I like it so far. I like what I'm seeing. There's a lot of keys that Marvel is dangling in front of me to get my attention, and yes, I am paying attention to those things, but in my opinion Marvel has a strong tendency to drop the ball towards the end of their shows. What do I think about Riri Williams? Like I said when I was reacting to the trailers, that Riri needs to be a grounded character. She needs to have vice, something that she needs to overcome. She needs to have flaws. She can't be a character that you give super intelligence, superpower, superhuman strength like you did with Captain Marvel. I mean, they gave Captain Marvel hundreds of different superpowers, but you can't slap superpowers on a character and expect her to be likable. She also needs to feel like a person, to be a grounded person with flaws. Captain Marvel never had those flaws, while on the other hand, Riri is a flawed character and I like that. There were a lot of things that I was predicting when I was watching the trailer. I thought that this hood guy could be a love interest for Riri. I don't think that's gonna happen, but I do think that this hood guy is definitely going to be a bad influence on her, that her joining this hood guy's team is definitely going to bite her in the ass, which is exactly happening. We start the show off with Riri already selling projects to other students for money. She says that she needs money to invest in her armor, and it doesn't matter if she has to tread the red line of being a criminal and being an upstanding citizen. She's already on that red line, and obviously she is expelled from that school. Now we already know her vice, and this vice will go deeper later on in the show when she joins the gang. Now this we know that is a bad idea, but really is going to soon learn from her mistakes. That's part of character growth, and I like seeing Riri make mistakes because she's going to later on learn from them, and she does that. Joining up with this hood guy was a bad idea. Now let's talk about the Hood character because he's the main villain of this show, and I read his origins on Wikipedia. He sounds like a really goofy guy, and he is very hilarious. If you go on Wikipedia and read his origins, it is as goofy as you can imagine. But yeah, Marvel is going to take him seriously, and since he's the main villain, I guess we can take him seriously. So apparently he has a cape that can make him invisible. I was reading on Wikipedia that he has special boots that can make him jump really high, but we haven't seen the boots. He's only wearing the cape and the hood thing. And let's talk about other character depth that Marvel adds to her. Her trauma of experiencing the expiration of her stepfather and her best friend Natalie when she was young. And obviously, this is a very scarring moment that really has not fully processed. Her mother says that she never really talks about that, and really also has these panic attacks, which is evident when she walks into the same garage and she is reliving that moment. So obviously she still needs to work through that. Now let's talk about Natalie because she's here and I don't like her. I don't think that she works as an AI. She hinders really on her active mission, makes the mission go bad and then tries to fix it. But other than that, I do think that she is not a very helpful AI. I don't think that her existence in the show is that much justified, but I do think that it would be much better if Marvel gets rid of her character very soon, because you have Riri who still has an active trauma because of that drive-by incident, and then you bring back Natalie. And obviously, if Natalie towards the end of the show sacrifices her life to save Riri, it could give Riri the clarity that she always needed to, overcome that trauma and accept the passing of her stepfather and her best friend. With that said, what do I think about this show as a whole? I do think that Riri's character has a lot of depth, which I like seeing so far. And a lot of people are saying that there was a small line in the show where Riri says that she's not going to throw shade at Tony Stark because he contributed a lot to the field, which I also find a bit disappointing, because why would she say that? Why would you even need to throw a shade at Tony Stark, who literally sacrificed his own life to save the entire universe? I don't know why they would do that. It's not even like she's actively has contempt for Tony Stark. She just says it so casually, like he deserves it. I don't know what they were thinking. Other than that, a lot of people are also criticizing Riri Williams for not having money to build the armor, while they are also saying that Tony Stark was able to build what he did in a cave with a box of scraps. Now, while I think that's absolutely valid, I also think that it's valid for Riri that she just doesn't have the materials to build an armor. Tony had necessary equipment in the cave, he had scraps, but Riri, it feels like she only has boxes. I do think that it can become a very long debate, but I do think that from what I've seen from both of these characters, I do think that Tony Stark is far more intellectual and intelligent compared to Riri Williams. I do think that Riri is very intelligent, but from what I've seen in this show so far, I just don't think that she is outdoing Tony Stark right now. But it's fine, it's the beginning of this show. So now let's talk about the group that the Hood is hanging around with. I think a lot of people assume that the group is supposed to be super sophisticated, but in reality, they're a ragtag team of people that Hood has put together to do his, criminal jobs. Even if you look at their first job that Riri joins them on, is very stupid, because their ultimate job is to take a small USB and insert it inside the building somewhere. And you could have done that with a small drone and insert it there and be able to get access to all of the factory or facility. It's a tunnel, so they could get access to that by using a small drone. Instead, they send Riri with a giant robot, and all of the other guys bust in and they take other people hostage. And towards the end of that job, we found out that the Hood was invisible, sitting beside the CEO of this tunnel corporation, and he makes her sign a contract where all of his group members will be working under her company, and they will be receiving the money. But the thing is, there was a far more sophisticated way of doing this task. You could have made a small drone that could have inserted the USB so they could get control of the entire facility, and then they could claim themselves as a solution, and they could say that, oh, this other group has hacked your facility, but we can fight that group if you pay us a large sum of money. They could have done that, and that would have seemed far more a cleaner way of doing the job. But what they did was, really unrefined and really stupid. And their second job was even more stupid because, well, it was mostly because of Riri. She messed up really bad, and the job just went really, really bad because of Riri Williams. Other than that, the show is definitely getting review bombed everywhere on Rotten Tomatoes and IMDb. People are saying that this is the worst show that Marvel has put out. While I do see some flaws with the show, I don't think that this is the worst show. Yes, Riri Williams has flaws, and I like my characters with flaws. And it depends on Marvel right now how they deal with those character flaws in the next 3 episodes. With that said, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and as always, it's time for a goodbye.